Thank you, Debbie. We are talking about men. Thank God we are only women. So we are going to have a ball talking about men today. You are all welcome. And we are not talking about men generally, but we want to talk about the virtuous ones. The ones that the women want. And when we talk about the ones that women want, we are talking about the ones that are not yet married. What would the women be looking for? We are talking about the ones who are married as well. 10, 15, 7, 5, 2 years. What do they want in a husband? 3, we are talking about those who are 60, 50, 40 years in marriage. What do they still want in a man? And so the topic cuts across, and we are looking at a man in totality. When they gave us this topic, I was very happy because I've always asked myself, a good wife comes from the Lord. Where does a good husband come from? And I've never gotten a truly satisfactory answer why we are completely, a virtuous woman is talked about in detail. And a virtuous man is really not exhaustively talked about. But look, Proverbs 31 talks about the virtuous woman, a noble woman. And actually the Bible says, I wish those of you who can read Proverbs 31 from verse 10. The Bible says, who can find her? Who can find her? It is that virtuous man, excuse me, it is that virtuous man who can find, who can find a virtuous woman. A virtuous woman is not going to get out of her house to go and look for a virtuous man. No, it doesn't happen. So the virtuous woman is out there waiting for a virtuous man to come and look for her because she qualifies to be looked for. The Bible says, who can find her? Today we are talking about that man who can find the virtuous woman of Proverbs 31. So I have Joy with me here. We are going to discuss, and Ed and Debbie, we are going to discuss this man that the virtuous woman is looking for in a man. So Joy, could you kindly tell us?
Good morning, our listeners and our viewers. We thank God for giving us this opportunity to serve during this English Camp meeting. And I am so excited. I am so glad to be serving with my sisters. And Betty, thank you so much for noting out that the Bible speaks about a virtuous woman, but where is that virtuous husband? And we find that in our context, our culture has done so much to make women good, to make that virtuous woman that is being talked about in the Bible. But who makes the men? We find that our men are not prepared. Our men are not talked to. Basically, we do not find that virtuous man, but we need to find him. We women need to find that virtuous man. We need to know, how is he? Who is he? What are those qualities? What do we want from that virtuous man? And for us, we find in Proverbs 31, says that one of the qualities of that virtuous woman is that she is trustworthy. Her husband is proud of her. They say that her husband goes out to the gates and talks about this woman. Her husband is proud of her. This woman goes to work, wakes up and works. All those things are the qualities of a virtuous woman. But what is this husband? As he goes out to look for that woman, what does he do? Now, one of the things in my life. I'm talking about me. I am going to talk about myself because these are the things that I want from my man. These are the things that I'm expected from my husband, from my man. And these are the things that I expect to see in my sons-in-law. Probably they won't meet all of them, but there will be a certain, a certain percentage of what is expected. They will meet a certain percentage because no one can be perfect. Even we, much as we are described in Proverbs 31, but not all of us make that Proverbs 31 woman. We fail somewhere. Now,
Excuse me,
yes, please.
Joy, do you think we are not that kind of woman, and so we can pick every Tom, Dick, and Harry because we are not that woman?
Of course not. Because there are expectations. We are not, because we cannot be 100% that woman. But the fact that I am not 100% that woman, I also don't expect to get 100% man. But they are. At least I can get a 70%.
So you are lowering already your expectations, and you are saying the virtuous man, you are lowering his standard, right?
Do I say I'm lowering his standards?
Yes, because you say because you are not 100%, but we have 100% here, and we are looking for another 100%. So if you are lowering his standard, then we are looking for a man. We are not looking for a virtuous man.
No, we are looking for a virtuous man.
Okay.
A virtuous man is not going to be 100%, but he is going to be somewhere.
Okay. So in principle, there is no virtuous man. There are only virtuous women.
No, we have virtuous women, and they're looking for a virtuous man. So definitely, if you're a virtuous woman, you would want to get your match. And that is what we want to talk about.
But nobody is 100%. So where does that put us? To lower our standards and be less virtuous women so that we can get less virtuous men.
As Christians, we all strive to be virtuous.
Okay.
I believe once you put your head into it, once you strive with God's will, you can be that virtuous woman and you can get the virtuous man.
Okay, the Bible says we have all sinned and have come short of the glory of God. And
True.
So, yes, the virtuous woman is our example and is our standard. And so that's where we should be getting. That's where we want to get. And in a bid to get there, even as women, we are requesting and demanding and looking for a man that deserves to have me, because it is very, very sacrificial to be a virtuous woman. Very, very, you go through a lot. You know, you have to behave just like you hear. The virtuous woman of the Bible says that she brings him good and not bad. And that is all the days of her life. Brings good. That's the intention, that's the quality, that's the standard. Okay? And before we start looking, I think, for being what women are looking for, we must be those things. You cannot look for a noble woman, you cannot look for a virtuous woman when you are not half even a virtuous man, you know, and you have come short of all the qualifications that this woman has. And so you also want to sit there so that the virtuous woman comes and gets you. If that doesn't happen, a virtuous woman is not going to look for you. The virtuous woman is going to sit and be and wait for you to come and get her. Yes, as you were saying, we were talking about the standard. And so we are not lowering the standard. The standard is not ours, the standard is God's. And so we have no business lowering anybody's standard. If God says this is the virtuous woman, that's where we must be. Okay? You were saying something.
Okay, now, a virtuous man, what we want from him is that he can offer security. And what do I mean by security? You can offer financial security, you can offer physical security, you can offer emotional security. That when I look at you, I know I am secure. I have someone who will protect me. Protect me from what? Protect me from anything. For example, you can protect me from in-laws. There are in-laws who can come to your home and they cause havoc. And you find that they even take away the peace that you can have in your home. And your husband fails to stand up to those in-laws to do what? To protect you. We want men who can protect us from such things. We want men who can protect us. If a thief comes into the home, there are men who run out and leave the women. And you find that you have no one to run. He runs to the sitting room. They have come to the sitting room, and he leaves you in the bedroom with the men. I mean, which kind of man is that? We want protection. We want you to protect us from anything. We want you to provide for us. Provide all our needs. I want a man who will be able to provide for my basic needs, for the basic needs of the family, for the basic needs of the what? Of the home. I want a man who has a vision, for the family.
Sorry, dear. Today, you see in the papers, the men are looking for elderly women who have money. In fact, in Luganda, they say, nga yevuga, you know, nga kozewo sente. And for them, they are looking for security. It is the men who are looking for security. And of course, we know many men where women are the providers, and they are the ones who are offering security, be it physical, emotional, and psychological, whatever you talked about. There's a story of a family that I know, actually, and this is a true story. The thieves came into the house, and they had a gun, and there was a man and a woman in the house, and the woman fought with the thieves, got the gun, gave it to the man, and said, chase them. Here is the gun. Go and chase the thief. Then the man chased the thief, and when the thief realized that this man didn't know how to shoot, the thief stood there and said, techimanyi nakuba mundu. And then he walked away. And the man walked back home with his gun and collapsed. So there are those kinds of men. When you talk about security, you are talking about someone who wakes up at night when there is noise outside. Someone, and it's not the woman who sits on the edge of the bed where they go out easily. It should be the man, because the man is supposed to wake up whenever there is a problem. That's the kind of security, actually.
Let me tell you, let me chip in there, Betty. I also have another story of a woman. When the thieves came into the house, the man went under the bed and told the house, bawe sente zonna eziriwo.
The wife.
And told the wife, bawe sente zonna eziriwo. Now, really. Our men are supposed to protect us.
Yes.
You cannot run away and leave your wife at the mercy of thieves.
So that security is equally as important as the financial security, as much as the emotional security, and all forms of security. Especially, you talked about in-laws. Madam Debbie, in-laws, what kind of security, for example, really, does your husband give you as far as they are concerned?
In my opinion, he's the one who understands both sides.
Yes.
He understands me and he understands the family.
Yes.
It's his duty to help them also understand me and as much help me understand the family. So that way we will live in harmony. He will not be siding, especially with his family. He will make sure that both of us, I know it's a tight one, but if he's able to make me understand the family and help me understand their family, then that will be easier for both of us.
For the marriage, for both of you.
Yeah, but let me say something about financial security. We thank God that God has blessed us women. He has blessed us. We are everywhere. We are in the boardrooms. We are in the markets. We are making money. But please, our men, do not neglect us. Do not say that she has a lot of money. I cannot do anything. What is my money going to do for her? Just in case I need a dress of 50,000, you bring that 10,000 and I add on the 40 that I have. Yeah? And I will appreciate that 10,000 you're going to give me because it is coming with love. But we find that these days, men have neglected the families. Men have thrown down their responsibilities. They say that my wife has everything. My wife can do anything. And because of the male ego, by the way, because naturally a man is supposed to do what? To provide. Do you know what they do? They go out and get other women whom they can give that 10,000 to appreciate. Not knowing that even me, his wife, much as I have a lot of money, even if he gives me that 10,000, he feels that his ego isn't satisfied here and feels that he can have his ego satisfied elsewhere. But we appreciate that little that you give us, as long as it is given with love. So please do not neglect your families, do not neglect your responsibilities because your women have.
Yeah, and we are talking about these young women who are looking for the husbands, and those qualities are the ones that take young girls and women into the marriage, you know? What do you think is the greatest ingredient that we are looking for in a man? If I was a 21-year-old looking for a young man to start a home, the most important, Debbie?
The man who really loves you.
Okay. She thinks it's the man who really loves you.
Because I believe with love, then everything should be falling into place.
How long have you been married?
13 years.
13 is quite a long time. So you might have an idea, yeah?
Yes, somehow.
Yes. But the woman, the virtuous woman, is the one that loves God. That is the virtuous woman of a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised him, is to be praised. Amen. That is the most important ingredient. I get surprised these days in my line of work when I get young people who have not engaged in sex and they are getting married. I get surprised. But they are there, can you imagine? They could be 30 years, they could be 40 years, but they've never had sex, not even with their spouses. They are there and I see them, yes, a lot of times. And guess what? I asked them, how did you manage this? He said, we can do it. Actually, last weekend, I witnessed a wedding where both the girl and the boy were all virgins. And so that kind of, if a woman can discipline herself to a level where, you know, they abstain, even with a man who wants to marry her, then honestly, and they are dating for 3-4 years, you know, how virtuous is this woman? How virtuous is this man? And so if all of us go backwards and remember where we started our marriages or where we are in our relationships, we might fall short, you know, but still the Lord, our God is a loving God. He forgives us as soon as we pray and ask for forgiveness. We can always start afresh, and he's willing and able to forgive us of all our trespasses. Yes, I still want to hear a lot about this man. We have talked about emotional, security. We've talked about finances. The provision has become a problem. And so it's men instead who are looking for women who can provide for them. But I also want to talk about laziness. They don't want to work anymore. There's a couple that I was counseling, and as soon as they got married, 2 weeks later, she called me and said, "Counselor, but this man is lazy. He spends all his time sleeping. What do I do?" So, and the Bible, this Proverbs talked about that the hands of the virtuous woman are always itching to find something to do. Itching. She cannot sit and be still without work. That's why she's praised even at the gates, that the husband goes and sits among men, important men, and they are, he is fit. He is fit to speak. He is fit to talk with real men because of the wife at home, because of her hard work, because of her preparation, because of her love for her family, that even the children call her blessed. Many husbands, I asked a certain child who had come for counseling, I asked her, 7 years, turning 8, and I asked her, "What does dad do?" The child told me, "He's a con man." And I said, "What do you mean? Do you know the meaning of con man?" She said, "No, but I asked the policemen who were coming for him, I said, "What has daddy done?" And they said, "He's a con man." And I said, "I see." I said, "Do those policemen come often at home?" He said, "Yeah, many times they come and take him." I said, "So when you grow up, what do you want to be? Do you also want to be a con man?" She said, "No, I don't want, because the police will always be coming for you." And so for you, you might think that you are living your life, but you are not only living your life, you are living the life of your family. Leadership is a plant of slow growth. If you cannot be a leader of a home, put marriage issues aside. You will be very disappointed to lead your family, your wife and children, in the wrongest place ever, simply because you couldn't lead them. A man who fears God will put God first in everything they do, in every plan they make. A man who listens. Can you imagine getting married to a man who listens and respects you? How many of our men do that? They don't rubbish everything you say, now you get what are you talking about? They can have, let some other people talk. That's where respect begins. At dating, did you realize your husband would respect you? Of course, you are going to say all the good things here, but how important is respect in looking for a future husband? Debbie.
Respect is very key. It is key in a relationship, it's key in marriage, and even as you bring up children, if you're blessed with children, it is very important, because through that they'll be able to learn very valuable lessons from the two of you, how you treat one another, how he treats you, how you treat him. It's going to have a very big impact in their lives, and we are creating the future. And the only way we can do that is showing them the right thing, and respect comes first.
Yes.
Yes.
There are those young men who get married and want to continue with their life as it was as a bachelor. The same thing with the girls. But here we are not talking about any girl, we are talking about the virtuous woman. The virtuous woman won't have those other things that they have to do. It's like their mind is in the right place and they are getting into a marriage and they know what to do. So they are expecting this man to know that marriage is going to be a different kind of life. But the man is here continuing with his friends, continuing with his partying, continuing with their, it's like life goes on as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. And there is no time for marriage. Debbie, yes?
I would want to come in about continuing with your own life. When you read from Ephesians 5, chapter 25, it says, for husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her. It's about giving up your life. There are things you will give up for this family. You love your wife or your family as much as Christ loved the church. So you're going to leave some things to be able to run the family right. So if your man understands Christ, if he loves you that much, for sure he's not going to continue with his life after marriage.
Yes, we talked about hard work. Does hard work only apply to working hard and bringing in money? Or even hard work means you work at the institution in which you have entered and you work at the marriage. There is nothing that is going to come out of nothing. You must build the foundation of hard work, both of you. That kind of husband, but you were going to say something.
I wanted to say something about the issue of respect. I think was respect. When we are looking for men, we want to see men who have a vision. A vision for the family. Where do you want to see? Where do you want the family to be in 5 years? In 3 years? How long are we going to stay in this rented house? Which schools do you want the children to go? How much land do you want us to own? We want to see a man who has a vision. But you find that people just live lives. And he has no vision. Even if you ask him, what are your plans? He has nothing. He's just living just like that without a vision.
A day at a time.
Hey, a day at a time. So we want to see a man who has a vision for the family. Where do you want to see the family going? Which direction are you moving with the family? Those are some of the things that we want to see in our men.
Yeah, that is very important. Of course, that takes a very hardworking man, not a man who is looking for an elderly woman who can drive herself, And so that takes us to their own backgrounds. Usually when we are meeting these men, we don't care about where they are coming from. We are in love. And you said it, and you said, as long as you love each other, that's the most important thing. But you who has been married for 13 years, I'm sure you understand that at some point in our lives of marriage, the love kind of turns into commitment. And love cannot be identified in a marriage. Instead, we confuse it with commitment, because a woman is very committed to her marriage, or a man is very committed to her marriage. Therefore, the partner makes sense. You see? So when you talk about love, in my mind, I am thinking love cannot conquer it all. Okay? So I want you to talk about maybe the commitment that you are looking for in a future husband, or in a man that you are already married to and lacks commitment. But that is one of the most important ingredients in getting a virtuous husband.
True commitment is very important. Love, we love for different reasons. I would have loved him for, for some traits or things he did, or he loved me for, the looks or whatever. But once that fades, and sometimes some things fade, that's when now your commitment is tested. If you're really committed, Yeah, love, of course, at first love is there, then slowly you're growing your love and you get committed into this. And once you are committed, then you're able to hang in there in all seasons, whatever happens. That is the kind of person that you want to look for, the person who will be committed, who will not be shaken by anything that comes in between. You know, things change, the looks change, you know, the way you looked 30 years ago, it's not the same way now. So, yes, if you're committed, you will hang in there whatever happens.
So we want a committed man, not a man who will change his mind because now you look too fat, and a man who will say, I have gotten someone else, please go, I'll have somebody else. We've seen lots and lots of that. Someone just, of course, like I said, we help people who come to us for preparing them for marriage, and then the girl or the boy is telling you, me, I've told her that I don't care. I can marry her, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll move on. You know, even when you are preparing for a marriage, you are talking about moving on. What commitment is there for? How are you going to fight for your marriage? Marriage is forever. Marriage is to be fought for. Marriage is to be kept. Unless you lose your spouse, you have no other business looking for another marriage. Okay? So you wanted to talk about another quality?
And we want to see men who are honest.
Exactly.
Who are honest and trustworthy.
Okay.
Do not lie.
Yes.
Don't tell lies for whatever reason. Please, do not tell lies. Always speak the truth. How do you live your day-to-day life? Do you keep your word? When you say you're going to do something, do you do it? When you make a promise, do you fulfill that promise? People always make empty promises. He tells you, I will do this. And time flies. He makes another promise. And you find that you're living your life on promises which are never fulfilled. And for you, a woman, it always leaves you empty. And you always have this in mind that he always makes promises and he doesn't fulfill them. We want our men to be honest and trustworthy. When I give you my ATM card to borrow money, do you return it without a withdrawal?
Why have you given it to him?
Maybe I want him to get money
to
for
keep
me.
It for you?
No.
You've
helped
sent
me.
him?
Yes, I have sent him
to
run an errand for me.
Okay.
Don't you get there and say, oh, I'm sorry, I was able to withdraw so much more. Did you withdraw what I asked you to do? And some of those little things are what make a relationship. Are you really honest? Will you return my ATM how I gave it to you?
Can't it get lost along the way when I'm bringing it back to you? I mean,
I don't expect it to get lost along the way. I don't expect it to get lost along the way. I mean, those little things are the ones that we look out for in men.
Men today think women are looking for money, period. But you are saying that women are looking for those characteristics that makes you the man she wants. It is not money, it is your compassion, it is your support, it is your trustworthiness, you know? It is your commitment to this relationship. And it is not a big thing. It's not a big thing, but men think, me, I'm still poor. How can I even get married? I can't even think about it. Yes, it is good for you to know that you need a bit of money to run a home. You have to rent a house. You have to have children. Children have to eat and go to school and all those things. That is important. But when people, even men, are into the habit of making money in very, very, detestful ways in order to impress a girl whom he wants to marry. Is that really true? Is money so important to a virtuous woman in looking for a virtuous man?
In my opinion, yes, people need to eat. People need,
Yes.
you need to run a family.
Yeah.
But it should not be the backbone of that marriage. We should be able to find happiness in other ways. Money, of course, once you both virtuous, you will find something to do. Both of you will find something to do. Meaning, it
You'll
will
work
not be a
together.
problem. You will work together. You will make it anyway. So as long as you're willing to make it work, money should not break or make a marriage.
So if a virtuous man is looking for, if a virtuous man is looking for a virtuous woman, and the virtuous woman actually wants money more than anything, as long as, there's this, I don't have airtime, I want chips and chicken, those things,
Then
and he knows you
Is
cannot
that a virtuous
aff-
woman, really?
I know, thank you very much. Thank you. What are those other qualities? Our time is running.
Yes, our time is running out. A very most important
Quality.
quality is communication.
Yeah,
Communication is paramount for a virtuous man. Communication, please communicate. Talk. There is someone who sang a song, talk and talk and talk. Talk. When you are at home, talk about anything. Keep the conversations running. Make sure you are always talking. Make sure you are always laughing. Talk about virtually anything.
But they say women are talkers and men don't talk. The men speak 7,000 words a day. The women speak 25,000 words a day.
It is
So
okay.
they cannot compete.
Yes, it is okay, even if he sits down there and listens to me talking.
Okay,
Yes.
that's very important, and I want to ride on that. Communication is not speaking. Communication is listening, being attentive, and giving feedback. Feedback can come in terms of words. It can come in terms of disagreement. It can come back in terms of changing your behavior. So communication we are talking about is talk. No, we are saying, listen. Put your newspapers there. Put your laptop. The laptops have brought so many problems in homes. The phones have brought so many problems in homes. The communication you do on the phone is much more, it's much greater than the communication you have at home with your wife, with your husband, and with your children. Why don't you make your wife that phone? When you get home, make her that phone. Make him that phone. Communicate. Even being silent when he is talking, when she is talking, is not an empty gaze. You just look at someone empty and you ask a question and say, I didn't hear that clearly. The mind is so far, but the body is here. That is not listening. In fact, if I were talking to you and I sensed that you are not present in this conversation, I will just walk away. Because you are lying. Your mind is somewhere else and you are deceiving me with presence. Presence is not important. But I also want to say that being a companion is the most important thing in looking for a husband. A man who can be a companion to a woman is more cherished than a man who sends money. Now, what do I mean being a companion? Be there. Just be there. If you are not there physically, be there on the phone. Okay? If something needs you urgently, go home immediately. Leave everything. You know? One time I was sick and I was actually pregnant and I was I was vomiting and that other side was also giving way. So I called my husband, who was a doctor, and I said, by the way, I am not well, so please come. He said, okay, I'm coming immediately. So that was maybe by 10, and by 1 he was nowhere, by 2 he was nowhere. At 3 o'clock he sent a nurse with medicine. Just imagine that. And you even haven't come, but you have sent a nurse. You know, maybe if you had come and said, oh, what is the problem? Maybe even the vomiting would have stopped. You know, you never know. Yes, this is what we call TLC, tender loving care. It can do wonders sometimes, better wonders than medication. So, but you can imagine, presence, you are a companion. That's why I have a problem. You work in Kotido. You are dating a woman in Fort Portal. And you are all in very responsible jobs, but both of you are planning to get married, and both of you are planning to continue working. Is that going to be companionship? Is that truly going to be a marriage of two virtuous individuals, a man and a woman? And this is what is happening. During lockdown, people were hit by COVID, and one of my clients lost a husband. She works in Kotido, and the husband was working in Kampala. So I was saying, how are you going to do these two? Because the husband was keeping the children. I said, how are you going to do this? And she said, I don't know. Now it's like I'm going to live with these children for the first time in my life. Because it was my husband who was always with these children. I don't know how I'm even going to relate with them. Because me, I used to come once a month on a weekend. And now the man was dead, by the way. The man now was dead. And so, companionship. Is there something you want to talk about that?
Yes, more still about communication. We need to discuss and agree on issues. Sorry, we need to discuss and agree on issues. Issues that lead to the development of the family. Involve us in decision making. In case you want to buy land, in case you want to buy a car. But you find that most men just buy land and tell you, I bought land in this and this place. And you find that you wouldn't be comfortable staying in such an area. He buys a car and just brings it and shows you, this is I have just bought a car. So we would like men to involve us in decision making. The other thing that is really so important, men should tell us where things like land titles are, to tell us things like where their wills are, because we have seen very many men dying and they leave their families
in chaos.
The wife doesn't know anything regarding the husband's property.
Maybe she doesn't care to find out.
That is also possible.
Yes.
That is also possible.
But
or
that's
there is
not
a
a virtuous
possibility.
woman.
But there is also a possibility of you always asking the husband to inform you of those things and he refuses. But it would be nice if he tells you that my will is there. Even if you don't tell me, of course you don't need to tell me what is in the will. But you tell her that so and so has our will. So and so has our land titles. So
but
that
what if he tells you actually that let's sit down and write our will? What's wrong with that?
That's also okay.
That's a virtuous man.
Yes.
And by the way, the virtuous man, I mean the virtuous woman, they say she invests. She buys land. That's what Proverbs says. She buys land. She invests for her family. So for us, we have the mandate of even investing. Although some men are complaining that we are investing, and for them, maybe because they don't know that we are investing. But when a woman invests, and she's virtuous, and she's a planner, and she has the vision, why don't you go to her house and sleep and enjoy yourself and put your leg up? Why not? What's wrong with that? That's your money. That's your wife. So don't reject a woman's investment because me, I cannot sleep in a woman's house. Me, I can. That's why women are making you pay for rent for the houses which they have bought, because for you, you are there, feeling big without doing anything. You don't even have. So why don't you have for free also? So any other quality? Debbie, is there something you wanted to talk about? The virtuous man that we are looking for?
I didn't quote when you asked about in-laws or outside, the security from outside. I did not mention the Genesis 2 verse 24 that says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So once you become one flesh, I think you treat her as you. It's okay. Everything runs on smooth. Yes, that's what I wanted to add.
What do you have to say about the issues that really have to come in a relationship, whether you're dating or whether you are planning to get married? You get misunderstandings. How would you want a virtuous man to manage those small conflicts? Well, they could be big, they could be small, they could be average, medium, whatever. Mm-hmm. How would a virtuous man resolve that?
The virtuous man is ready to listen to you. He's ready to understand. He's ready to really get your point of view. Give you space or give you time to explain. They say, let me explain. Then if they really listen to you while you explain, and on your part also be honest. Say what happened. Be willing to ask for forgiveness. It's a two-way. Say sorry when you really mean it. And this is two-way. You can say sorry. And I'm also supposed to say sorry as a lady if I do anything wrong. And let's end it there. The conflict. Be able to resolve and bury it. Let it go. Yeah, don't hang on it.
Okay, so it's very important for you men who want these virtuous women to actually be patient. If you don't resolve a conflict, that doesn't mean the end of a marriage. I have a couple that came to me and said, my husband, no, it was the wife, that my wife is always saying, so now the marriage is over, right? Now. Because someone didn't bring something home and they quarrel and so now, you mean now this is a divorce, right? Huh? Now, okay. So is that what you mean? Eh? These conflicts must be there. Actually, if you have a marriage that does not have those conflicts, then you have nobody. You don't have a spouse. You don't have a spouse because you are living in a bubble. And so quit. Go and look a woman with problems. Go and look for a man who is going to give you problems in order for you to learn how to even manage life's challenges.
Yeah, regarding having issues, I think we need to sit down and discuss. When you are beginning any relationship, you really have those issues that come out, which never came out when you are dating. But now that you are getting married, things start coming out. Things start coming out. Things you never knew about her. Things I never knew about him start coming up. So it is always good for you to sit down and get to understand one another and try to resolve those situations and know how you are going to learn to live with each other because you all have your different habits, you have your different behaviors, but you're supposed to live together. So we need to sit down and discuss on how things are going to run. And always agree to something which is okay between you and between you two, which will work out between you two.
Okay, I want you also to talk about patience among men. Patience.
We would like them to be patient with us. Patient with us in all ways. I can give a very common common issue with us, lady. We always take our time. We always take our time in each and everything. Things are not going to be the way you want them to. I want my lunch at 1 a.m. and you think that it's going to be 1 a.m. We are going to 1 p.m. We are going out and we have to be out at 8 p.m. You find that a woman will start preparing herself at 7 and by 9 she's still preparing herself. But
because
we pray.
she was busy.
Yes.
I mean.
We pray that you always be patient with us in everything. Always be patient with us.
Okay. And this is very, very crucial, that if you are very, very impatient with a woman, then you will live a very, very traumatic life. Miserable. Because women will take their time, and we are different. If you do not understand the differences between a man and a woman, and you want your woman on one part to behave like a man, and on the other part to behave like a woman, because sometimes you'll say, what kind of a woman are you? You know? Many times you behave as if you are a man, and yet, you know? Huh? You see, so that's what you want. But it is not right for you to expect your wife to behave like a man because she's a wife. If you are not these people, men and men, women and women, then you must understand that there are those differences that make you different, that you admired in the first place. You looked at this beautiful woman, this handsome man, and you say, that man, I really love him. Or this woman. You loved that woman because she was a woman. You married her because she was a woman. And those differences are the ones that are going to stay in your marriage. Appreciate them, celebrate them, and live happily with them. You seem to want to say something.
To say something very important. There is something that is very important for us that we want in our men. We want affection.
Yes.
Affection is key and paramount to any relationship. And affection, very many people mistake it for sex, but it is not sex. However, affection may lead into sex. What do I mean by affection?
Yeah.
Compliment your wife. Compliment her. Tell her you're looking good. You're looking beautiful. That dress looks nice on you. And you can see how Betty and Debbie are nodding their heads because they are women. And those are the things that make us women. When you compliment her, you will bring out the best in her. You will see how she grows when you compliment her. We really love being complimented. Give her gifts. Once in a while, a gift doesn't need to be something big. Along your way as you're coming back, you bring her a chocolate. And you will see how happy she will by you giving her a chocolate. Remember our special days, our birthdays, our anniversaries, and celebrate with them with us. You may find that there are people who never remember their birthdays, who never remember their anniversaries at all. And it is always the women who remember those days. But it is always good for our men to remember our days. Be gentlemen. Be gentlemen. Let us not watch these things in movies. When you go shopping, you help her with the bags. You lose nothing. You help her with the bags. Help her with the shopping. Help her with the children. These days we all work. We need to be helped with the children. I brush the shoes. I am cooking, and you also there ironing children's clothes. Such that by the time we all retire, we are all happy.
But they pay for the worker, so what are you talking about?
There are people who do not want workers in their homes, by the way. But
and yet they don't work, they don't help out?
Yes.
Okay.
They don't want maids at home, and they expect you to do all that donkey work. But it would be good if they help us out with the housework as well. Yeah.
So in conclusion, what would you say a virtuous man or what a virtuous woman is looking for in a virtuous man? In conclusion. Wrapping up it all.
We look for security, we look for affection, and we look for communication.
Okay.
Those are the basic needs of a woman in a man. And we have tried to expound on most of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Debbie?
We are looking for a man that is kind, is patient, is understanding, shows empathy and compassion to the partner. He is emotionally mature. He is able to support the woman that he has. This person is sensible when it comes to treating the spouse, the woman around him. So that is the person that, and above all, is God-fearing.
Okay, you talked about being sensible, then it reminded me about a man who is sensitive. Of course, women are easily cry. And because women easily cry, men have taken it for granted that, I don't want your tears here. I don't want, it's as if you manufacture them so fast and then they're out there every day and everywhere. That is a language. When I talked about listening, communication, I was talking about those tears as well. They are a language. Listen to them. Know that when someone is crying, when you see a tear, there is something wrong. So be sensitive to your wife or to your spouse or to the person you are dating, and that will make you a very, very, you will go a long way to be the virtuous man that every woman is out there looking for. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I will give you 2 minutes to wrap up, and then we finish this.
Thank you. I'm sure we have learned quite a bit from these ladies. We all now have understood what women are looking for in a virtuous man. And we as women have also understood what we should be for us to attract or to be able to be looked for by the virtuous man. If we all do this, if we all play our role, I believe we shall live in harmony and we shall have happy families, families that we read in the Bible. You know, the Bible says a family is a small heaven. It's a small unit. It's a small unit that shows how we will live in heaven. We will make it work. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you.
Welcome back. We welcome you from that session. It has been a wonderful one. There's been a lot of learning therein. And it is very important that you as a man who is planning to go into marriage get to know what your woman wants from you. And if you are already married and certain things are not happening or working out the way they must be working out, you need to go back to the drawing table and ask yourself, what must I do for my woman, for my wife, so that she will be happy? I have learned a new term today, TLC, tender loving care. It is very important that you, a man, loves your woman and cares for her the right way. We want to thank the panel discussion or the discussants who have digested and told us what women want from men or who a virtuous man is. There are very small things that you need to do for your woman, things like helping her with chores at home, things like remembering her birthday and celebrating,